Welcome back, everybody, to Just Keep Parenting. Glad to have you join us again. And I hope it's been a good week for everybody. I hope that we've been able to pat ourselves on the back a couple of times for parenting wins, right? And also been able to think about some of the things that we've been working on to help us help ourselves as well as help the children. So last week we were talking about just thinking about intention, right? Because that really is the key to success. Are we intending to not harm children, but are we intending to punish, right? And so our goal last week was to think about, could we help them by teaching instead of punishing, right? So this week we're gonna step into like teaching right from wrong. Again, if this is the first time you've joined us, we're talking about easy to love, difficult to discipline. And so I've had an experience this last week that I'd like to share with you. I came home from work and I was outside with my squash plants doing a little hoeing and just taking care of them. And I noticed that I have two big lilac bushes that I love lilacs because my mom loved lilacs. So I planted two lilac bushes to kind of separate my neighbors from my house. And I came home last week and I kind of noticed that one of them wasn't as full as it had been before. And so I got to investigating and I noticed that the lilac bushes had been hacked. And so then I went around to the back part and I noticed that a bunch of the bark had been stripped off of these, lilac limbs. And then I looked a little bit more and found a computer and different things down that had been, taken apart. And I found a juice box and a spoon. And I was immediately like my heart hurt, right? Because I thought, I'm sure these were just summer shenanigans. It was like the first week of school being out. And I just thought, I'm sure these are just kids that are looking for something to do. And these lilac bushes provided kind of a fort because there's three big rocks that you can sit on in there. And so that was my first thought. I was hurt, right? That these kids had hurt my property, had hurt something that was special to me. And so I took some pictures and put it up on our neighborhood Facebook page to see if anybody had seen anything. And I didn't want to go and ream the kids, right? I didn't want to punish the kids, but I wanted to have a teaching moment with them to be able to talk about property and respect and things that you could do. And so I left them a little note. I thought, I don't know that they'll come back, but if they do, I want them to see a note. The note said, when I got home from work today, and found my trees had been hurt, my heart hurt. I said, I'm sure you were just looking for something fun to do, and I would like to help you find some fun things to do that don't hurt property and don't hurt people. And I said, here's your computer back for whatever reason. And as I put that note down there, I thought, you know what, Dory, this is exactly what you just taught about, minus the computer part. The computer part was like I wanted to like stick it to them, right? To say, oh, by the way, here's your computer. Anyway, I had a little talk with myself and thought, okay, the first part was really good, right? I wanted to share with them how I was feeling, and that my heart hurt. And I didn't talk about, I planted these lilac bushes because, they remind me of my mom. But I did say that my heart hurt when I saw them, right? And I would love to help them find some fun things to do that didn't hurt people and didn't hurt things. Anyway, I don't know what will come of it, but I was happy for that village win, right? That village of, no, these weren't my kids, but I was able to hopefully stand back and say, what is my intention, right? My intention was to teach. And so, minus the computer. So that whole teaching right from wrong, I've just been thinking about that all week, thinking, okay, so as adults, not just as parents, but as adults, we really do have a responsibility to teach right from wrong, right? And I just think, okay, so where where are these kids on that continuum of knowing right from wrong, right? Knowing that you just don't go into somebody's property and destroy it, right? And so, as we talked about punitive and permissive intentions last week, right? And how our ultimate goal when we use those is just to gain control, right? That's all we want. I just want control over these kids, right? So looking at that, I might have said, you know, I'm going to find these kids and I'm going to go talk to them and I'm going to talk to their parents, right? Because I wanted to be in control. The fact of the matter is, what we focus on, we get more of, right? I have a little, it comes from something that our teachers use, but these are little reminders, right, that we carry around with us. And it says, when you focus, what you focus on, you get more of. I have to put on my glasses. Did you like it? Tell your friend, I don't like it when you butt in line. Please go back to your space and wait your turn. Try it now for practice, right? The power of attention. And we have talked about the power of attention in earlier videos. But I was trying to focus on what I wanted more of. And I want them to be happy. I want them to have fun, but not at somebody else's expense, right? So when we try to do it to gain control, right, we are dictating our feelings to the children, right? Instead of, or shielding them from the feelings that they would have had. And we've cut them off from their own feelings, which typically naturally take place, right? So instead of taking charge, right, of what our children would feel, we can give them the equipment to learn right and wrong through awareness of their emotions, right? So there's a part of me that wish I could have chatted with the kids, but I would have said the same thing to them that I said in the note, just with a little bit more information, right? So as we're thinking about a consequence, when we're about to deliver a consequence, let's ask ourselves, where am I focusing my attention, right? Because my intention depends upon my attention, right? So in order to teach, we need to focus on what actually happened, right? I want to focus on those aspects that I want to highlight, right, of the child, and what I want him to reflect upon, right, and what I want her to learn, right? So if we use the bike example from last week, my friends, this is what it sounds like, right? Do you remember the bike situation? The mother had been telling the child to like move their bike, and eventually it got run over, right? And so if we look at this and we say, what happened, right? Jacob left his bicycle in the driveway and a car destroyed it. Boom, those are the facts, right? What aspects of your child do you want to highlight? The message might be, you can handle this and learn from it. You can become more conscientious and make better choices, right? So that's what we want to highlight. And what do we want the child to reflect upon? His feelings of loss and his own desire to be more careful. Not mine, but his, right? And what do we want him to learn from this situation, right? That if he doesn't take care of his belongings, they may not be there very long for his enjoyment. And replacing those material things takes time and it takes money, right? And so what I might say to Jacob is, Jacob, you seem upset, bud. You left your bike outside and now it's destroyed. This is a horrible loss, right? So that empathetic piece, right? Instead, we want to say, really, I've been telling you so for how many months now, right? Oh, I told you so, right? That's our humanistic piece, right? That's what our CD-ROM tells us that we should how we should respond. When in reality, that's a pattern that we just need to break, and we need to do something different there, right? So the natural consequence, right? Let your child dispose of the bike himself, right? Don't go rescue him. You might have to guide his actions. So you might have to say, on Wednesday, take your bike to the curb where it will be picked up by the sanitation workers, right? He doesn't know those things. So we have to help him, but we're going to let him dispose of it, right? If he asks for a new bike, we could say, you left your bike out. If you want another one, we'll need to earn and save money to buy it, right? There again, we're not rescuing. We're not being punitive. We're teaching. If the child throws a fit, right? It is okay, right? to help them work through their frustration. We're frustrated as adults. So how do we work through it? Sometimes I talk and then I feel better. So we set our limit and we stick to it, right? We can help our child come up with a plan to earn money. You can start earning money by doing special projects around the house, right? So as we do this, it's a teaching moment rather than a saving moment and rather than a punishing moment. So when we help children to handle loss, these are the things that they learn, right? My choices can have disappointing outcomes. I can have strong feelings and they may hurt, right? Painful feelings do not excuse me from responsibility, right? So just because I feel bad doesn't mean that I'm not responsible for my actions. Authority exists, right, to set limits and help me successfully operate within those limits, right? Having things I want demands energy, effort, and care. To get what I want, I may have to wait. And when I make a mistake, I can recover, right, and solve the problem I created. Those are some amazing emotional resiliency skills that kids learn when we have opportunities to teach rather than to punish or to rescue, right? So if we compare these outcomes, right, with the outcome, let me read you this other little story in here about at the gym, I overheard a woman discussing why she was running late that morning. The previous night, around 8 p.m., her 8-year-old son had informed her that he had to build a log cabin for school the next day. His bedtime was 8:30. To help him, she and the boy stayed up past 11, working with Lincoln logs. She laughed as she described the cabin's leaning walls, but she sure was glad it was finished on time. After describing how she'd rescued her son, she launched into a long tirade about the irresponsibility of children, right? So as we look at the outcomes, so to speak, of what Jacob learned about his bike and life, with his mother helping him and guiding him through that, compared to this mother, right? What she was teaching, that people will rescue you from your own choices. If you let others save you, you'll be better off than if you didn't. Right? Authority exists to bend the rules for you so that you can succeed. Gosh, that's not true in life, is it? Without help from others, you will fail. Doing something by yourself will not be good enough. Waiting until the last minute, it pays off. Somebody's going to rescue me, right? You can't fail because others will save you. So as we look at our parenting, right, are we punitive? Are we permissive? Or are we teaching, right? And granted, no, none of us are going to be 100%, right? But can we do a little better today than we did yesterday? So let's do this. There's a little quiz that I want to give you and just answer to yourself, right? So punitive is P, R is rescue, right? And T is for teach. So P, R, T. So be thinking about that as I read these scenarios. Carl was eating and he intentionally belched and tossed his food in the air. His brother is about to join in the fun. So these are some statements we could make. Carl, you are making noises and throwing food. Your actions tell me you are done with dinner. Say, I may be excused and take your plate to the counter. What do you think? Here's a new one. Carl, you're being rude, and that is no way to behave. Keep it up and you can forget about TV tonight. Dinner is a time to talk and enjoy being together. Your behavior bothers me. You can finish your dinner at the counter by yourself or stay with the family. If Carl continues to belch, he is told to move to the counter to eat alone. Number 4. What's the matter? Don't you like the food? Would you like something else? 5. Your rudeness is ruining our dinner. You know better than to act like this. Shape up or you will not go to the gymnastics meet. All right. So what do you think? Carl, you're making noises and throwing food, right? Your actions tell me you're done with dinner. Say, may I be excused, and take your plate to the counter, right? That's a hard one because part of it says it's a teaching, right? But part of it says is it teaching or is it, right? It has more teaching in it than anything else, right? So, number 1. Then if you look at number 3, dinner is a time to talk and enjoy being together. Your behavior bothers me. You can finish your dinner at the counter by yourself or staying with the family, right? There's another teaching moment, right? So 2, Carl, you're being rude. There's no way to behave. Keep it up and you forget about TV tonight, right? It's punitive, right? So you're going to make him feel bad, right? And number 5, your rudeness is ruining our dinner. You know better than to act like this. Shape up. You're not going to gymnastics, right? There's gymnastics, food. There's no connection there. So that's punitive as well. And then if you look at 4, what's the matter? Don't you like the food? Would you like something else, right? I'm being permissive, right? I'm trying to rescue that child, right? So if we use punitive or permissiveness, that rescuing piece, typically our children are going to avoid taking responsibility, right, for their actions. And we've all kind of been around people that have a hard time doing that, right? So as we help the children figure this out this week, that's going to be our goal, right? Is what can we do this week to deepen our resolve to change our old patterns, change that CD-ROM that we've been using to be able to figure out, am I rescuing? Am I punishing, right? Being punitive? Or am I taking the opportunity to teach my child? So that's our goal this week, my friends. So I'm hoping nobody comes and does anything to my lilacs, but I'll report again if they do. But I think if we can just stop, right? We've talked about stop, taking a deep breath. If we can do that with our parenting as well, we want our children to do that, right? So if we can do that with our parenting and we can figure out our intent. What is my intent here? That's my success, right? So just keep parenting and we'll move on. Thanks for joining us again.